You're listening to the Show We Go Baseball podcast.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome into episode 33 of To the Show We Go, featuring Chris Henrique and myself, Andrew Parker. If you didn't get a chance to check out episode 32, it's one of our favorite lefties that we've had on the show. We've had about 8 of them at this point, but we had Joe Jakes, Boston Red Sox lefty. So if you haven't gotten the chance to listen to that, please go check that one out. He's got a great story. He was a minor league Rule 5 guy that ended up making his MLB debut all in the same season. Great story. But today we have another one of my favorite lefties. He's a former Mizzou Tiger, so he's the third one we've had this year. He's a current Philadelphia Philly, Michael Plassmeyer. Now, Michael, we'll talk about baseball in a second, but before we start, how's the offseason been? What have you kind of been up to?
It's been great. It's always nice kind of after the grind of the season, come home, just relax for a little bit and get to see family and friends again. But not a whole lot. I'm training out at Premier Pitching where I've been going for, this is probably year 9 maybe. And then I do some work out there 2 days a week, just coaching some high schoolers and stuff like that. Other than that, not a whole lot. Whenever I get back from season, me personally, it's just like I want to do nothing for as long as possible before everything ramps up and all that kind of stuff, and I get super busy again. So been a lot of visiting, seeing some family and friends and everything, but I got no complaints with it.
Yeah, it's good to hear. And I love the quick audible room shift out of Chris in the middle of that. So that was good to see. But
yeah, I'm trying to record. I was like trying to get some good light. Like I'm at my parents' house working from home. So I was trying to get good light. They have like right by the deck, but the dogs are outside and they're freaking out over nothing. So
all right. Well, I like the audible. That was good. But so just following up with obviously like now that you're into the off season, you're kind of hanging out. So you're 2023. I feel like, we met up with you in April when you were in Worcester, very early in the season. I think it was late April. So I think you had only made by that point, like 2-3 starts. But now that you've kind of, you had a interesting 23 where you had an injury, you were out for a bit, came back, absolutely dominated. How was it, I guess, now that you're looking back in the rearview mirror, just at your season? Just how did it go for you?
Yeah, I mean, it didn't go as planned. So the start was pretty rough. Wasn't pitching well, had some shoulder problems, and then ended up being shut down, going down to Florida, rehabbing for probably right about 2 months. But came back strong after that, and then got to have one appearance in the big leagues. Didn't go very well, but that's all right. It happens. So, I mean, like, it wasn't how I envisioned the year to go. But I learned a lot, and it was, I think in the long run, it'll be good for me to have gone through that. That was my first time ever on the IL, first time ever missing, honestly, more than like one start. So it was like completely new for me, and there was a lot of ups and downs through it all. But in the end, I do think I came out like for the better with it.
And so like I said, like your numbers when you came off of the IL were pretty good as you got in towards the end of the season there, which obviously led to your call up to start against the Mets. But what was that like for you just mentally? Just obviously you said you've never been through that before, but as you came back and you're like, okay, I'm doing this again. I'm pitching well. Like, I guess, how was that mentally for you?
It was very relieving. The start of the year being like on the 40 man and everything like that, like you put unnecessary pressure on yourself. Just always trying to get back up to the big leagues and everything like that. So like stressing a little bit more than I think I should have. And now that the season's over, I was like, why was I doing that? But it's hard to not do that. You're always thinking about how can I get back up to the big leagues? How can I help the team and everything like that? So it was very relieving kind of coming back, feeling like my old self. I had a lot of shoulder tightness at the beginning of the year. So trying to like kind of battle through that and then go out there and pitch well. It was just like coming back from it, feeling good, feeling healthy. It was very, very nice and just like calming, I guess, for me to like be able to get back to that and then just only focus on pitching.
And can I just say that like I said, we talked with you I think a day or two before your outing in Worcester. The ball was absolutely flying out of the park that day.
Yeah.
I felt bad. Like I felt like I jinxed this guy or something. Like I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, I heard about it. I forgot what day I pitched. It was probably like early to middle of the week, but I remember hearing for days and days about the Bobby Dahlbeck home run that went supposedly like 550 feet or whatever it was. And every day on the pregame TVs in the locker room, it was just going and going. And like, it happens. So like at first you're like a little upset, but like you can laugh about it, like once it's over, it's over. Like I've given up plenty of home runs, plenty of bombs. So, it was a nuke. I will say that it was very far, but yeah, I had to hear about that for the rest of the week.
Well, don't feel like you're the only guy, because watching Bobby Dahlbeck hit home runs this past year, it seemed like he hit one off of, I don't remember which one he hit off of you, but he hit one later in the season. I think hit off the moving train that was in left field. He hit like, the guy was just like destroying baseballs all year long. So do not feel bad about that one.
No, I know he's really good and he's got some juice for sure. He was like best friends with Scott Kingery on our team. So I had heard about him and then played him the year before. And I knew he's kind of a guy that you don't want to give a cookie to, especially not a fastball. And sure enough, I gave him one and he made me pay. So
But you did end up getting your revenge later in the season against the Woo Sox. You actually, I was kind of looking at this and I'm like, you picked up a 5-inning save against the Woo Sox. That was your last outing of the year until you got that big league call. So were you did you have that in the back of your mind, like facing them again? I mean, I think you faced them a couple more times before that, but.
Yeah, I think that actually might've been the first one since being back, but when he came up to the plate for that first time, that was definitely in the back of my head. Yeah, like, all right, we're not missing. I was like, if we're going in, we're going in. I'm not leaving this one over the plate and having to relive that experience again. So it definitely sticks with you, and try and make your pitches a little bit more, a little bit finer there.
And I will say this to end on this topic, but I felt terribly bad as well for our friend Josh Lester, because he came to town. I went out, we all said hello to him and everything. He ended up going like 1 for 20 in the series with a home run. He didn't hit until Sunday. And I was kind of like, Josh, I am sorry. Like, I don't know what's going on, but yeah, he did not have a good series, but I was kind of like, like Plassmeyer kind of had the same thing. He came into town. We said hello, and then he didn't have a great outing, which Lester didn't have a good week. So I feel bad.
Maybe we just wait till the end of the week to start talking, I guess. After
yeah. I thought it was a Mizzou thing, and then Hal came down and rehabbed, and he pitched pretty well. So I was like, okay, like we're good. Like the Mizzou guys are doing well. So
yeah, he's nasty.
So I didn't want to touch on it, but you kind of like brought it up a bit. But obviously, getting into your third game now in the majors, like, so is that something that next year you're going to go into the season and you're going to have some things now under your belt? I think we even talked about this in the last offseason when you had the 2 outings towards the end of the year. But now that you've got another full season, you went through the injury, you had that outing at the end of the year that you're probably wanting to forget about. But what kind of things are you taking into next season, into spring training?
I mean, experience is experience, like getting up there, being like, on the big stage again. Even though it didn't go the way I'd hoped, like it's good for me. You got to learn to deal with it. Not everything's going to be good. Can't always have your best stuff, so it was, like I said, in the long run for the better, I think, because the goal is to get up there and stay up there. So, being able to deal with those failures and come back stronger. So it's one of those kind of like, it happened, learn from it, and then take a few nuggets and then keep building on it. I was not executing off speed very well at all. Slider was not there. And then throwing fastball, changeup, slider, like against a pretty solid lineup, like you need to have multiple pitches working. So just being able to find a way that, like, when you don't have your best stuff, still be competitive and give the team a chance to win. And it's easier said than done, but you do need to find a way. Like the guys who stick up there are able to do that. So it's something that I got to figure out and be able to do. And
I kind of wanted to I guess you had a front row seat technically just being in the organization, but for the Phillies run through another postseason. So what was that like for you, just seeing like the guys, some of your close friends and everything, like in the run that they went on this year?
It's really cool. I was down in Florida for about half of it. I guess it was really only the first series there. I was down in Florida for, they call it stay hot camp. So like in case of like injuries or anything like that. And it's like the pool of guys who are staying ready and training and stuff down there. So it's cool. Like we had a couple games where we got some like pizza and wings with like all the guys who were down there and like watch the game. So like being able to cheer those guys on and like see it and like having met those guys, like it makes it all the cooler to root for them, being a part of the organization. So it is really cool to see. And I mean, I thought they were going to take it home. Honestly, I thought they were getting hot at the right time. And, but it's fun. And then being able to watch from home and like watching with some friends and stuff like that was cool just to see like those guys out there playing. Like that's where you want to be in the end of the day. That's why you play, is to go hopefully win a World Series. So, being able to like kind of have like a little bit extra investment in it is really cool.
Over the last 2 years, the Phillies have really taken off under manager Rob Thompson, especially after Girardi got let go last year. They went on that run, went to the postseason. To your point, I thought the Phillies were going to win it all. I mean, just when usually, obviously pitching wins in the postseason, but that offense it seemed like every single time it was Trey Turner hitting a bomb, it was Schwarber hitting one out, or even Harper, Castellanos, etc. But kind of tell me a little about like what Rob Thompson is like as a skipper. To kind of give people, we have a bigger Red Sox following with this podcast, and we're trying to venture that out with you guys outside the org. But tell us a little about Rob Thompson and what he's like as a skipper.
Yeah, I mean, it's my only big league experience, so I don't really have like another big league manager to kind of compare him to. But like, he's a phenomenal guy and a great coach. So like, he's very like, kind of lets you do your thing, and then like when he needs to come in and like say whatever he needs to, like that's when he steps in. He's not like overbearing. He's not like micromanaging everybody. It's you get your work in, you get what you need to be ready for the game, and kind of go from there. So he's also like a guy that you're like more than comfortable with, like talking to, just having a regular conversation, whether it's about baseball or not. So I think that creates like a really good culture. And then having a lot of those like big name guys like they do, like Schwarber, especially like in the clubhouse, he's like a huge leader in there. So kind of like, I guess, leaving part of that to the guys who are in the clubhouse, like on the player side, and then stepping in when he needs to, I think like really takes some pressure off guys. It's not like him constantly walking around the clubhouse and you're like always on edge kind of thing. You're comfortable in there. And guys are always having a good time. Like that was one of the biggest things that I noticed, is like everybody's having fun with everybody. It's not like superstars over here, young guys over here kind of thing. Like everybody's mingling with everybody, and that just makes you root for everybody all the more, and really like pull together as one team.
What is that dynamic like? You get called up, you spend time in AAA, you get that call, and you got guys like Schwarber, Bryce Harper, Trey Turner, guys that have showcased on the biggest of stages. How welcoming were they? Did you get a chance to talk to any of those guys one-on-one?
Yeah, I mean, I felt like they were all very welcoming. Like I didn't know what to expect the first time I went up last year. I had never met any of those guys up there, really, being new to the Phillies and everything. I felt like in those games and in spring training as well, they make it a point to like make you feel comfortable. Like every single one of them comes up, they'll say hi to you. It's not like that awkward, like, should I say hi to this guy or not? Like they're truly like showing that like, hey, like you're part of this team. Like we care about you and everything. So like they're saying hi every day. They're cool with having a conversation or whatever. And then being around them, and like, it makes it more comfortable to try and like learn from them, being in like the pitcher drills and stuff. Like you see Zach Wheeler, like he is phenomenal out there, but he's just one of the guys going through all the drills the same as you. Like he's just cracking jokes, keeping it light and having a good time. So like it makes you more comfortable, and also makes it easier to ask questions and to like kind of feel like you're like able to just kind of sit by them and like learn as they're going through their stuff, and like try and pick out little nuggets that help make them successful.
I got another one real quick for you, and I'll kick it back to Andrew. Nola's a free agent. He's going to make a ton of cash this offseason. He's a guy that's on the Red Sox radar.
Mm-hmm.
What could you say about Nola? We know what he can do on the mound, but what's he like off the field? What would give us like a little glimpse of what he would be like to say if the Sox were to strike a deal with him?
I mean, he's extremely humble. He's a guy honestly, like most of those guys in that clubhouse, like he's very welcoming to everybody. He's making sure to say hi to all the young guys coming in. So like, he's also like a culture builder on top of being a guy with ace level stuff. He's a little bit more to himself from what I could tell in my limited experience around him. He's not like super flashy, like kind of going out, like making stuff like about him at all, which I think is a good thing, but super humble, like a very good guy. Very approachable too. He's always there just kind of like doing his thing, and like he's more than happy to answer any questions you got for him, and also just kind of like just chill and like hang out, talk to him a little bit, you know.
And I guess I wanted to ask you too. There's another guy in Philly that still I see his name like tweeted out or whatever in the city of Boston. And it's Dave Dombrowski, obviously. So do you have any like good stories with him, or like anything that you could tell?
I've never had like an in-depth conversation really with him. A lot of like, hi, how's it going kind of thing. I don't really have any stories with him. I hadn't spent too much time with him. And when I do see him, it's very like kind of formal, you know, like, hey Dave, how's it going? That kind of stuff. So he's always making sure to walk around the clubhouse, say hi to everybody. I think day one or day two, he introduced himself to every single like younger guy in the clubhouse. So having that also like kind of feeds into that culture. Like I talked about with Tomper, like he's making it more comfortable for you to be around him, and you're not walking on eggshells and nervous all the time, you know, when you're in the clubhouse, which is supposed to be your time to like just relax and just chill.
Yeah, I figured I would ask because I still see his name brought up all the time, obviously with the turnover in Boston at that position. So it's understandable, I guess. But
yeah.
So and there is a lefty now in charge of the Red Sox. So I know our friend Joe Jakes, Craig Breslow, he's
former the guy, right? Okay, yeah.
So you know, it's kind of cool, like getting talked to like, you know, a lefty on our last episode, Joe Jakes, and I'm just like, you know, there's a guy running the show now that literally was a lefty journeyman, like just like what you kind of are. So it's just like so he thought it was pretty cool. So
yeah, no, for sure. It's nice to be able to relate to get some guys on that stuff too, for sure.
Yeah. And I wanted to ask you, so there's I think we may have talked about it last year, but every single guy we've had on this offseason has been talking about, you know, where they're working out, like back home. And it seems like every other guy's at Cressy down in Florida, but I know you're in St. Louis this offseason. So do you have like a pool of guys, like STL guys that kind of get together, like either some major leaguers or guys throughout professional baseball that are all meeting up at the same place?
So I would say the biggest one here in St. Louis is called Premier Pitching. Honestly, out of our pro group, a majority of the guys are not from St. Louis. They kind of like specialize in pitchers. So the position players like Veerley and those guys, they go somewhere else to hit and do all their stuff. We had guys like Allgaier, who's with the Phillies for a little bit this year. Other guys kind of coming up. Houck used to go there for a while, and then I think he's down in Cressy now. But it's a lot of like not St. Louis guys, honestly. So a lot of guys kind of come in, travel in to be able to train there.
Okay. Yeah, it was always it was like a thing where I'm like, you know, there, and we had I'm not sure if you're familiar with the name, but he was a second round pick this past year by the Red Sox, Nazan Zanatello out of CBC.
No, I didn't know CBC had a guy there.
Yeah, so he just got picked this past year, and we had him on early in the offseason, and he was kind of talking about, you know, just like that CBC, like, you know, the Jake Bergers and the Veerlings and guys like that came out of there. So I think Veerling came out of CBC. But
yeah, I remember we were both there.
Yeah, so it's he was kind of talking about, you know, all those guys. He saw them every now and then, like throughout high school, like coming back to STL in the offseason and stuff. But Definitely didn't know if there was like a big group of even Mizzou guys that went towards St. Louis or not. But
yeah, Lester used to come in when we do like live at bats and stuff. Vierling, his little brother Mark, who I played at Mizzou with. Lester would come in when he was living in Columbia. A guy named Pete Zimmerman, who's with the Astros for a little bit. He's doing indie ball now. So we get the hitters in at the very end of the year as we're like throwing off the mound and everything. And those are really fun. We have to do it indoors, being from St. Louis, a little bit colder, but just like hanging out in there and like just being able to, just kind of chop it up, whatever. It is fun when you get like a group of guys who are like all around kind of that same level. And a lot of us have some overlap from summer ball, high school ball, whatever. So being able to bring up some of those stories from the past and all that. So it makes it a lot more fun for sure.
All right. There's a question we asked you last offseason, and I don't know if it was just because you weren't comfortable with us, you didn't know us very well, but I'm going to re-ask it because I feel like there is a real answer here. I think it was, I don't remember how we worded it. Maybe we worded it wrong. I don't know, but I want to know, like, outside of baseball, like what's the guilty pleasures? Like, what do you do? And last offseason, you told us you didn't have anything, and I think our question was like, what would you do if you weren't playing baseball? And you're like, I don't know, just like coach or something. But
yeah,
what do you like doing outside off the field?
It's honestly like, it is the truth. Like, I don't have too much. Like, I'm not like a big hunting guy or anything like that. I think my answer last year was something like fantasy football or whatever, which I do love. I'm in a couple of leagues with like guys that I've played with in the past, the AAA team from this year, and then my high school friends. I don't know. I would like to kind of like run like a small business, something around athletics. It's because growing up, like being able to like, I always played sports growing up, and that's like what I love to do. I feel like it would be like a little bit more motivating to be sitting at a desk or working on stuff if I'm like truly enjoying it and like something that I really do care about. I don't know, honestly. I have been interested in the whole golf simulator stuff. I've been trying to get my golf game up, and then being so cold here in St. Louis when I'm home, something with some like golf simulators, maybe run a place like that so that I could play whenever I want, Did
you see that the Top Golf just opened up in Midtown St. Louis?
They got one in Midtown now?
Yeah, it's
Really?
It just opened like last week. You got to look that up. It's in an awesome spot. It's like right next to Forest Park. It
Okay.
looks legit, man.
Chesterfield, which is like 30-ish minutes.
Oh, yeah.
I've been out there a few times. It is really fun. And then my buddy actually just did this thing where at Busch Stadium they set up like tee boxes or whatever, and you can hit onto the field, and it looked like pretty similar to that, where they have like the different targets out there. So golf's getting pretty popular around here, and I feel like they're always trying to do like little stuff with that now that they have better technology and you can play like all those games like they do at Top Golf.
Yeah, it's every single guy, and I'm not even understating this. Every single guy we've talked to this offseason is golfing. Like this is what they're doing. It's insane. It probably was like a COVID thing, obviously, that like if you didn't golf before COVID, you golf now, especially if you're a baseball player. So it's been crazy, man. Every single person is like, oh yeah, I've been golfing a ton. So
yeah. The weather when I got home, I went probably 3 or 4 times within the first 2 weeks of being home, and I hadn't played in a long time because of the injury and everything. And it was awful, but I love it. It's so fun just to get out there. And I mean, it kills like 4 hours out of your day, and it's something to be competitive with, but it's not physically taxing or anything like that. So I love it. I'm not good at it, but I do want to get better.
So you're not shooting any hoops this off season?
No. It's been a while since I played basketball. That was the other sport that I loved growing up. And I mean, I would love to go play, but it's not always worth the risk.
Fun fact, shout out to my guy, Tyler Murray. He's the announcer for the Woo Sox. He told me to give himself a scouting report on you when you were starting. And I had asked my one of your guys from your high school, Cooper. Yes. And I'm like, come on, give me something about this guy from like grade school, middle school, or high school, whatever that I can give this guy. He's like, call him downtown Mike Plassmeyer. So I told Tyler, I was like, just call him that at some point. So he did call you that. He did on the broadcast. I got to get a clip of that or something, because he definitely said it a couple times. But
yeah, being an average size, average athletic ability white guy, it's definitely it was something that I loved growing up, but it was not my future.
Well, you had Jimmer Fredette range apparently back in the day, so that's what I was told. But
yeah,
glad you picked baseball though. All right, Chris. I have a couple random ones. Well, I guess those were also random. But what do you have anything before I switch lanes here?
Well, I just was going to ask kind of like a few of the random ones that I usually try to hit up guys with. You had asked them just now about during like stuff in the off season. Are you like a concert type of guy? Do you like to go to shows? If not, what's like your Netflix or Hulu series you're watching? Something to kind of give, a little insight on you.
Yeah. I've only been to a handful of concerts in my life. I went to see Luke Combs last year. He was really good in live and in person. Netflix and Hulu. I've been watching Always Sunny in Philadelphia again, which I love that. I watch that on repeat almost, honestly. It's something I could put on in the background. And then The Blacklist is kind of the one that I'm like fully invested in right now. I watched it for a little bit a couple years ago and just kind of stopped for some reason. But I fired it back up this year, and it's good. I love that one.
Yeah, I was in on that show for a little bit. I think I did like 2 or 3 seasons, and it's one of those that I kind of veered off with. It's Always Sunny. I probably I have a handful of like favorite episodes, but I think like my all-time favorite is the one at the end when Charlie goes and jumps out of the moving van and yells like the wild card, and he rolls out. Yeah, that's one of my all-time favorites. I mean, I do like the one where he dressed up as Green Man. They go out to the game. Like, they have it's so many just random good episodes. I'm like my background show is Family Guy. I just kind of keep it in the background. But I've seen like obscure shows numerous times. I hate to admit this, but I will. But I've seen the show Frasier. I've seen every episode. I've seen every episode probably over 50 times.
Really?
Yeah. It's, I think when I broke it down, time-wise, when you break it down, it's like 3 months of my life just dedicated to that show. And we joke with my buddies, like, if there's ever like a Frasier trivia night, I will own that shit. Like, there's no one that's going to outdo me on that. And I don't really know why. But I got other shows too. It's intriguing though, like to find out, even like the concert side of it. Think about, we take for granted you guys are playing baseball pretty much from spring training and hopefully into October, November. And I think we take for granted the fact that we can just pick up and go to a concert on an August night where you're at the ballpark. You know what I mean? You don't really get that opportunity to kind of do a lot of that type of stuff that we would get to do.
Right. Yeah. No. A lot of my friends love going to them, but they like the summertime stuff like that when the weather is nice here, and a lot of like spring and fall nights. And I'm not home for a lot of those, so I miss out on some of that. So it's trying to find one like the Blues where they play at the Enterprise Center. They'll do a couple here. So yeah, trying to find some of those. But my random one that not a lot of people know for the like Hulu series is, have you ever heard of Burn Notice?
Yes.
Burn Notice is one of mine. My dad watched it a ton when I was growing up.
That was USA, right? I think.
Yeah.
It was a USA show. All right.
Yeah. It's like a secret agent show. That's the one I've seen it probably right around like 7 or 8 times all the way through. And it's a long show. So I'd be curious of how much of my life I've spent watching that.
Yeah. About 3 months for free.
I think that's proud of. I like it.
So me and the fiance just started It's Always Sunny. We had never seen it before. We're on like season 3 or 4 right now. It is hilarious. I love it. It's just, we were kind of going through, because like the first episodes were made in like 2005 or something.
Oh yeah.
And we were kind of like, we looked at each other after some of them. We're like, there is no way that they would ever release this today. Like they would like, you'd get canceled in a heartbeat. But
100%. They got some.
Those episodes are so funny.
Yeah, it's one of those like you love it or hate it. I feel like, because it's just them screaming over each other. So I think like if you watch just like one episode randomly for your first time, you're probably gonna hate it because you're like, what are these people doing? Like, it's just too much. But when you understand like the dynamic of it and like give it a chance, I think a lot of people love it.
There's relatability. I think you can see yourself and your buddies.
Oh yeah,
in that in some way. You can immediately like think of the cast, and of your friend group who Charlie is, right? And there's someone that has their waitress, you know what I mean? Like,
right.
There's those different dynamics of that within your friend group that make it so, you can get that relatability. So
Mhm.
coming up at 2024, though, there's going to be a ton of new stuff coming out now that strike is over.
Mhm.
There's already a bunch of new stuff that's already dropping. So looking forward to that. I'm actually looking forward to Curb Your Enthusiasm. That's my Larry David is on my bucket list. I would love to do one of these with Larry David.
Yeah, I'm more of a Seinfeld guy, but I've
Oh,
seen some
yep.
of the Curb. But I know it's the similar like genre that I just haven't watched it all the way through.
Instantly just became my favorite minor league pitcher. Big league.
I love that.
Seinfeld
This
is
guy's a huge Seinfeld guy.
Oh, you have no
Love
idea.
It's so funny. That's another one my dad would just watch on repeat. So I'm like, I have to like this show. Like, otherwise it's just gonna be miserable sitting in the living room with him.
Yeah, I sometimes have George Costanza qualities. If things start to annoy me or whatever, I will have I've been known to have a Costanza type moment here or there. So
Just a complete overreaction.
yes, that 100%.
He's my favorite in there. Him and Kramer.
Well, I'm glad we did get. It's kind of funny, I guess, that we were talking about It's Always Sunny with the Philly. So I guess that's always good. But
Yeah.
I want to ask you something, because Josh Lester told us this when he was on early in the offseason. But did you ever I'm shifting towards Mizzou baseball right now. I just had a question for you. So obviously there's a new coach that is they got hired, and Lester said that they contacted a few guys that were alums on the baseball side of things, and were kind of reaching out when they were looking for a coach or like talking over things. And obviously Ian Kinsler was running that at Mizzou, and Lester was in the clubhouse in Baltimore at the time with Kyle Gibson. And Kyle Gibson was obviously in the loop of things. They were getting his input a lot because he's a very successful Tiger. But Lester just so happened to be in the clubhouse with them and got to like kind of, I guess, overhear it and just kind of take part in it. But did you did they ever reach out to you or like any?
No, they never did. I honestly have not, since my brother stopped coaching there. I haven't talked to too many of them. I shot Carrick and Jameson both texts whenever I saw they got the jobs. I'll keep up with them a little bit more. Just throughout my career, like, so I never had Jackson, the new head coach. I never had him as a coach, but he was one of the guys who recruited me there. And I probably like part of like the St. Louis connection or something like that. But he's an awesome dude. So like throughout my career, he's shot me random texts here and there. So like having a guy that I never even like played for, only talked over the phone. I think I met him in person once or twice. Continue to like have that communication with me just kind of shows like how much he cares about like the players and like the pride that he takes in it. So I was really happy to see that he got the job, and I loved Coach Jay when I was there. I only had him for my freshman year, but I was pumped to be able to see him like go back to Mizzou and then get back like in that culture and everything. So that was really cool to see that hire two guys that I knew and that I had interacted with. So I'm thinking it'll be good for them, and I'm hoping that they can get on the up and up.
Yeah, you gave almost a very similar answer that Houck gave about Carrick on. He never coached him, but he was one of the reasons why he went there. So like, he kind of recruited him there. So and it was pretty telling too. And I had mentioned Nazan Zanatello early in the episode. He was committed to Arkansas, but he said he was choosing between Arkansas and Memphis to go to college. Obviously, he ended up signing with the Red Sox, but he said Memphis because of Carrick Jackson. He's like, Carrick Jackson is like, everybody in St. Louis knows Carrick Jackson. Like it's, so it's, I hope we start getting all that St. Louis talent, because it's, look at the football team now. It's,
I know, that's exciting.
Incredible, man.
Are they 11 right now?
They're 9.
9? Oh, really? They jumped in top 10. That's awesome. Yeah.
Top 10, man. I made a tweet the other day. I'm like, listen, like name a better story in 2023 than the rise of Mizzou football. Like it's hard because we're so used to just like being like bad or middle of the pack. And it's like, we're finally like freaking good and we're beating these teams that usually stomp all over us. So it's like, it's nice, man. I love it.
Yeah.
All right, Chris, I don't want to keep talking about Mizzou on you because I know you got no Mizzou anything over there. So
no, I got nothing. The only thing I would, I look forward to is when you ask about some of the St. Louis questions. You know what I mean? Like you did with Nazan with that. Not the pizza place.
Oh no, I don't need to ask him about emos. I know he's an emo guy, but
we talked about that yesterday.
Were you?
The train at we we do like a poll of the day, or just like honestly just like a random question, and it's like, while guys are kind of like rolling out, getting stretched out and stuff, just get some chatter going. And people were kind of like hyping up Casey's Pizza. And
yes.
One guy went and said that it was better than Emo's. I think Emo's is a little overrated, but it is good pizza. It's not one of those like, you're coming to St. Louis, you have to get this Emo's. For me, I think there's better spots out there, but it is good pizza.
Do you do the fried ravioli? That's what he said was a thing, right?
Toasted ravs, but you're
Ravs.
close.
Sorry.
I love those. That's usually my first appetizer when I come back home, just because you don't get them anywhere else.
I will say Nizan gave us a good method and I know they're not the same, but he did say get the frozen ones from the store, put them in the air fryer, and they get somewhat close, but it's you can't replicate it. I will say Emo's does have the toasted ravs on, like, that's their thing.
Yeah.
Not a big Provel cheese guy. It's just too gunky for me. But
yeah,
Casey's breakfast pizza, man. Don't hate on that stuff ever. Like, I love Casey's breakfast pizza.
Yeah, we like to have it's like off the wall kind of question, because that's what sparks like the best debate, honestly. You get in the weeds with the guys. So that was the one we were talking about yesterday. And I think Casey's.
I have a similar one for you. I have a very, very similar one that I've asked every single person that's come on the show, and I'm going to ask you because you're probably going to say what I think you're going to say, and I'm going to love this.
There is no wrong answer, but look at Andrew's face when you answer. It'll tell you if the answer would be wrong.
Yeah.
All right. I need your go-to fast food fried chicken place.
Oh, fast food fried chicken. That I honestly don't get a whole lot of fried chicken. I'm a cheeseburger fry guy.
Okay.
Is like the Popeyes chicken sandwich considered fried chicken?
Or yeah, I mean any place you're gonna go get like a fried chicken sandwich, like from a drive-through, like where are you going?
The Popeyes one's good. I've only had it once. The one by my house is always packed, so like this has to be good. So whenever I drive by it, I like Raising Cane's a lot. Have you ever had Slim Chickens? They put one in my last year at Mizzou.
Yeah,
that place is good. They just put one in.
I forgot about Slim Chickens, man.
I love their toast. Their chicken's really good, and then their fries are phenomenal. They got a little like Cajun seasoning on it.
Okay. The right answer was Zaxby's, but
see, I was not huge on Zaxby's when that was like my grandparents' favorite place. So when they would come up to Mizzou, we would get it every single time, and I would just there was better options for me. So
you're breaking my heart, man. That's I lived off of that Zaxby's over by that hotel. That was I lived off of that place when I was there.
It was down Stadium or Providence.
Yeah.
The two big roads.
Yeah.
I had it plenty, and I had friends who were obsessed with it, and I was just like, I'd rather go get Slims, honestly.
I'm telling you, man, my mom used to give me $100 gift cards at Christmas times to Zaxby's because she knew I got it so much. Like, I was
$100.
Yeah, she would just like give me $100 gift card. This would last you for a month or something. I'm like, yeah, that's what you think, but
2 weeks gone.
Yeah, but man, that's the Zaxby's there in Columbia, and I think they added a second one. I know they did.
There was two. I can't remember where the other one was at, but I remember that they put in a second one.
I forgot about Slim Chickens, though. I cannot believe I forgot about that place. They just added one off of Hampton. I used to live off Hampton before I moved up here in St. Louis, off Hampton Ave.
That's where it is. Yeah.
Yeah. They built one like right there, right when I was moving to Boston. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me, man.
Yeah. I think that they're like, just like the all three combo, like Raising Cane's, their fries are okay, but their chicken and toast are really good. And then Zaxby's is like, I like their chicken. And that's about it. And then Slim's has got all three, though.
Yeah. I'm with you, man. All right. So you've given us a ton of your time. Chris, we're going to empty the bench here. I got one more baseball-related question. So do you have anything before we end this?
I do. I actually wanted to ask a little about your brother Mitch is a minor league pitching coordinator in the Orioles system. Just seeing what that team has done. They are loaded with young talent. Offensively, you're starting to see some of that pitching come to life. Just kind of give us like your perspective on, your brother, what he does, and go from there.
Yeah, no, he grew up playing baseball, played in college for 5 years because he had Tommy John, so he got the redshirt year. And like seeing him be able to like be around the game still, like, because that's what he loves. He is tied for the most competitive person I've ever met between him and my dad. So it's seeing him like be able to like be back around baseball and everything is really cool. And then so he worked at Premier Pitching where I trained at after he was done playing. And then two of the other guys who worked there before on the throwing side are I don't know where their positions will be this year, but they were the AA and high A pitching coaches last year. So he's got like a good group of guys that he kind of like came up in the coaching world with. So like, I'm sure that their culture there is really cool. And like, that's fun for him to be able to have like those guys that he's like very comfortable with. And like you said, like the way that their year went this year was really exciting to see. So I love that he's with like a team that's kind of like on the up and up right now. They got a lot of good young players. And hopefully they're good for a while now, you know. It's really cool just like being able to have that resource where like me and him will talk a ton of football and then I'll randomly like ask him some baseball questions during the season or whatever. So like being able to kind of have that balance of like, hey, like things aren't going well. I need a little bit of help, shoot him some video and he's going to shoot me straight. But also like the times that like, I don't want to talk about baseball. We just kind of talk about whatever else, you know?
So to finish it off here, I have one baseball, one related left. I know you got some things to do today, so we didn't want to keep you all afternoon. But I guess going into 2024, you're obviously home, you're decompressing. You got the holidays and everything coming up. But what is like one or two, like what are the top two things on your list of baseball related things that you would like to accomplish by this time next year?
Ooh, so I was put on waivers by the Phillies last 2 weekends ago, I guess it was now. So I'm a free agent, so I don't know where I'm going to end up at. I can sign wherever. So I want to be able to like go into a new environment, be able to like kind of show that like I improved a lot throughout the off season and be able to like be up in the big leagues for hopefully a majority of the year, but just like get a little bit more than like how I've had like 2 games that last year or 2 years ago, I guess now. And then the 1 game last year, like be like a little bit more involved, I guess, up there. However that comes, you know, like I'm not sure exactly. I'm just getting into throwing. So like, I'm not sure exactly like where I guess what the plan is for me with the Premier guys going forward. But I just want to be able to like solidify and be like, hey, like, I've shown I can produce at the AAA level. Now I need to show that like I can produce at the big league level and get a little bit more time up there and show that like, hey, I belong up here, you know?
I can't believe you dropped a little bomb on us right there. And I had no idea. It's
oh, really?
I didn't see anything or anything.
And I've looked at your MILB page, a handful with just stuff with like my notes and stuff. And I literally, it says free agent. I don't know how I missed that.
Yeah. So I mean, it was 2 weekends ago, I guess. So that this past Monday, I think it was, I cleared, or Monday before, I can't remember. But yeah, so that was it obviously sucks going through it, but like being able to choose like where I go and have like a little bit of say in it for the first time in my life, having been traded all these times and everything, like it's just like pack up and go here, you know, like I can actually like have a little bit of say, like look into it of like, okay, who's got good pitching development, who's got some opportunity for me, where can I get innings, is kind of exciting for me, you know? So I think that just being able to find like a good fit and see who's all kind of interested in signing me and everything like that is exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's I think we talked with Josh Lester about this early on because he's obviously a free agent right now, and he's in that position where he can obviously choose where he wants to go, and kind of like you said, he's getting to see like, okay, where could I get some playing time? Like who's, you know, it's quite interesting to hear from that perspective of being like, okay, like I want to go where I'll be able to get some innings and can show what I can do. So we're definitely rooting for you, man, to get into a good spot. I had no idea, man. It's I didn't. Yeah. I guess I just like didn't know because I feel like I know you like well enough, and I'm like, okay, no, I know. I kept up with you throughout the season, like when you came off the IL, and I was like, this guy's throwing well. Like I'll go peep your baseball reference every now and then. So yeah, I had no idea, man. That was a bomb. So
yeah, when you said with the Phillies organization, I was going to bring it up. but then you went and do something else. And I was like, I don't know how to bring this up right now, just randomly, but
I apologize for that. That
Oh,
I
you're all
should have
good.
done some more research, man. But I was like, no, I know Michael Plassmeyer, man. But
no, that's all good. But yeah, so it's exciting times, and hopefully find a good fit for me.
Absolutely.
Polo Park, it was cold that first month in April, and admittedly, it was tough for some of the pitchers to kind of. I think it's a normal thing when it's cold. It's hard to get your groove, but once it got nice and it was warm, the building up a lot around that ballpark.
Yeah, I did like the city. I had some good restaurants down there.
They new pitching coach will be coming in. They haven't named who that person's going to be yet. We told you Breslow is in, fellow lefty. So, Fenway Park, you can't really beat that. So,
I will say, whenever I was younger growing up, so my brother being older, he was always first player when we would play video games, and he'd pick the Cardinals every time. So I needed a team that was good enough to compete with the Cardinals. So I chose the Red Sox a lot when they had like Big Papi, Manny Ramirez, and all those guys. So I'm familiar with their, I think it was 2003 Slugfest team, and I've loved Fenway. Obviously, like all the history in that place is unreal. So that I would not be opposed to being there.
All right, I'll make sure I clip this part that where like Michael Plassmeyer wants to be a Red Sox, but thank you so much for hopping on, man. We appreciate all the time and for talking with us whenever you were in Worcester this past year pitching. So thank you so much, and we're definitely going to be rooting for you for wherever you end up in a good spot.
Yeah, no, thank you. Thanks for having me on again, guys. It's been fun.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.